Fantastic. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. Obviously, this is not the presentation you're looking for. No, no, we're gonna have some fun. It's a security 101 type of course. So what I want to go ahead and do is talk about uh, all the different security 101 classes and courses you might have seen in the past and try to do something completely opposite of that. Because I looked at the last three that we offered here at Sumo, and they all started with um, if you suffer a breach, it's going to cost you 4.2 million zillion dollars. And I wasn't interested in doing that to you guys again. So what I wanted to do is introduce myself to you. Um, Hopefully you find me as an expert, but in a little bit more personal way, so that we can get deeper into how do we operationalize security, both in your organizations and with Sumo Logic. So I want to start with this quick story about me. Growing up, I've been a latchkey kid since kindergarten. For those who are not of my age, that means I carried a house key and I walked myself to and from school, and there was no parents signing me out. That might be an unusual development for some, but I had to take care of myself. So I learned some things. I learned how to be self-reliant, trusting my instincts, how to stay alert, and trying to solve kind of my own problems. You develop a deep sense of risk awareness, safety, resilience. This maps directly to what I've been doing for my career for the last 30 years in cybersecurity around threat detection, intelligent operations, and really how do we give defenders better tools? And it just all comes through a lens of watchfulness and understanding what security is and isn't. And hopefully together we'll get there. And just for fun, for those who are of my age, my house key was kept in my kangaroo shoes. That was a brand way back when, in the early 80s for some of you folks, where it had a zipper pocket on the side. So my house key was kept in the zipper pocket of my shoe. With that, I want to, understand together that we're on the same security kind of journey together, where we know you have a lot of data in your environment, and it's about how do we centralize all of those logs and events, understand the infrastructure of your cloud systems, have some way of detecting, investigating, incidents as they occur, and being able to respond, quickly into them. Now, I don't know where on this road that you might be with me, but realize that we are all getting on the highway together, and we're gonna talk about a few of the features and functions within the Sumo platform and Cloud SIEM that will allow you to accomplish these things. Getting your logs to one place, being able to understand what's happening and respond to incidents as quickly as possible. So the key takeaways for this course today is I want to introduce you to a bit of a model that I've been working on, that its foundational elements I call intelligent security operations. And you're going to hear everybody is jumping on the bandwagon for what security operations is. It's sort of the next level of SIM, and I am no different. But at the same time, we want to understand what are the underpinnings of what it means to have an intelligence security operation. What are the use cases that we're looking to power here, and then what are those key security features here at Sumo that'll allow you to do that? Okay, so foundationally, all we're trying to build here is a, a set of tools to that we can operationalize so that you can accomplish two very specific use cases. How do I do security log management? And how do I do threat detection, investigation, and response? Security log management is about bringing all your data to a place, whether that's a central data lake or within Sumo in our own security data lake, so that you can get things like compliance. You can answer questions about what's happening. This is just the raw data. And then once it goes through some processes, say into our cloud SIEM, this is where you're going to get the more deeper threat detection, investigation, and response type of use case. I believe that these two use cases, even though I mentioned compliance a second ago, which is a third use case, are the pillars of building your intelligence security operation. You got to be able to do these two things really well, get the data in, being able to investigate the details and insights of that data so that you understand what your security posture looks like. The underpinnings of these use cases are listed below here. And I'm going to go through each one of them and then what are the key features that, and this is not an exhaustive list of features we have here at Sumo, but a set of features that will allow you to understand uh, why I believe that these are the foundations of these use cases. First, we're going to talk about, logs first, kind of this unified telemetry. In fact, I have all the things here, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward. But before I do talk about each one of those, I want you to realize what our portfolio is here at Sumo. So depending on where you're at, I know that we might have some cloud SIEM folks, we might have some platform folks, or what I would call our logs for security, and realize that all these things together are helping us build this intelligent security operation. So as you introduce your data sources on the left into the Sumo system, foundationally we have the platform at the bottom. Sitting on top of that, we'll sell you logs for security and or cloud SIEM, and it's these products that we get a little bit deeper into, which are going to deliver on this intelligent, SOC concept, which will help you again investigate things more effectively, get more accurate threat detection, manage the information that you have within your environment, even as that information grows exponentially, and even enable that DevSecOps collaboration, because we're really again talking about how do I get all of the data to one place so that we're all reading from or singing from the same hymnal, from the same workbook, from the same single set of data out there. So if we talk about what I mean by logs first, logs are the DNA of your modern security platform. Again, we have to have data in the organization to go ahead and do this. And I want to, Sumo really pushes this idea of logs first, and people get stuck. Hey, what kind of logs are we really talking about here? And I'd say, hey, bring everything. And I'm going to open up definition of a log as any telemetry that gives us information about an entity and a behavior. And it can be in any format. When we start talking about structured versus unstructured, yes, bring it all in because it helps fill the gaps in your visibility. So why this matters is because without that full telemetry, you're just guessing. Starting with the logs gives you a bit of structure there, but eventually, yeah, I want to bring everything in, and we've even created some ways of doing this, keeping in mind what those costs might be, because some of you might think, hey, it's too costly for this. Yeah, let's talk about flex pricing, as the case may be. So if these are new terms for you, feel free to talk to your Sumo reps about that. Now, I recently updated a blog post, so you can go ahead and find it at how log management protects your security stack, where I talk about what are those things that make up a security log. What should you be bringing in to the organization? Whether it's give me your very specific security logs from say Okta, so we can look at failed logins or who has roles and permissions to things. If people are making changes to files, your malware alerts from your EDR system, whatever it happens to be. Here's a short list of the types of logs that would really help your security posture. Now, we've tried to do a really good job here at Sumo to help you with this process with hundreds of integrations where we've built an application within Sumo. So can we secure it? Can we bring those logs in? Absolutely. Where we've taken most of the security tools that you have, and we've built the connectors, we've built the dashboards, we've built the queries for you to get the most out of that data. And by all means, check out our app catalog for something that you're looking for. But even if we don't have that particular integration, or you have an application or a set of telemetry that you want to bring into Sumo, we have a strong capability of doing that. We call it our Universal Cloud Collector. Now, our Universal Cloud Collector, this is a very powerful modular, cloud source capability designed to collect logs from any vendor's API. So this is going to enable, again, anything you want to bring in, whether it's SecOps or DevOps. What it does, it creates a hosted connector with this universal source, enables the direct API collection, and you'll be able to bring in lots of different things. So when you're going to configure the Universal Cloud Collector, it's about defining the vendor's API, um, selecting how you're going to be the method by which you're going to be organizing the collector. You choose, how often, when, what's we want to certainly avoid any data loss or duplication. If they're only updating their logs every 24 hours, maybe we need to set up for that, look for those timestamps. And then you can fine tune these things, looking for timeouts and polling and so on along with that. Lots of information available in our help files for how to set up the Universal Cloud Connector. Again, this is about enabling you to onboard new data sources as quickly as possible, reduce dependencies or on custom development, or waiting for us to provide an application for you. You can absolutely do these things yourself and follow that first principle we're talking about, getting the data in. Okay. The second principle I want to outline here is around uh, delivering context to that data, whether it's threat intelligence, which is an easy one to think about contextually, but also understand what else is happening with a particular entity inside the organization. We're going to talk more about entity-centric detection capabilities, but we're finding that in the modern uh, intelligent security operation, it's not just that something happened, but all the contextual components around that something that happened that gives you the visibility and understanding of your situational awareness. So this shouldn't be hey, let's look it up later kind of thing, or swivel chairing to other places. So as a construct, as a capability, uh, we're going to certainly continue to do this as much as possible. Because frankly, you guys don't have time to dig through a bunch of PDFs or jump tools looking for what additional intelligence can we add contextually to a particular insight or entity or time-based process there. let's start off with we have a strong capability in the system already for you with our Sumo Logic threat intelligence capabilities. This is a bring your own threat intelligence. You can add as many feeds as you like, in addition to two feeds, to professional feeds that we've already provided for you inside the system. So we're going to support sticks and taxi for any of these feeds. You'll be able to filter what kind of information you're really looking for, all the way down to the indicator. What we're doing here is as many feeds as you want to bring into the system, we're going to parse and normalize that threat data, store it separately from your security data, and then be able to call upon that when an insight is created, or whenever you would like to, in order to provide that additional context. And then, of course, you have full control over what you want enriched, how you want it enriched, what indicators you're specifically looking for, and then how that's going to help you make decisions within the organization. Kind of a second feature that I keep pushing this on folks, because they may not have seen it as well, is our MITRE ATT&CK coverage map. So inside of Cloud SIEM, we have a MITRE ATT&CK coverage map in here that's tied basically to every single rule that might fire in within the organization. So you'll be able to see through different views, how you're doing in the last 60 days or so, what kind of rules are firing, what TTPs might be associated with that, what kind of attacks and or reconnaissance, whatever that's happening inside your environment. So you can get a good sense of what your particular posture is. But then you can compare that posture against other people, other folks that are running the same types of vendors and tooling that you have in a different view that says, hey, anonymously, what's happening across all of Sumo customers, what TTPs are being touched here. And lastly, there's a view that gives you the 100% coverage. If every rule fired and everything happened, what would be your ultimate coverage here? And we're sitting close to 80%, which is one of the highest in the marketplace for the rules that we already have in the system. So of course you're going to be customizing your own rules for your environment. You'll be able to tag your custom rules with TTPs, so that you can constantly get an understanding of what kind of security posture and how you're improving your security posture over time. So this is one of those features that I recommend people spend quite a bit of time with. And as a note, I did a presentation on the MITRE ATT&CK Coverage Explorer here a while back. It had to be sometime last year, Lisa, where I talked about how do we use this Explorer map to do threat hunting. So it's about looking for not what your rules are touching or what's hitting you, but what's not hitting you, and what things that you might hypothesize and go looking for. So something to keep in mind as you go through that process. And of course, in this same area of understanding context, is you need to be able to view what's happening at the end of these things. And we have hundreds of built-in dashboards. I just grabbed this one dashboard, which is a normalized view of just what's coming out of AWS, Security Hub, any threats that might be identified in that level. And then we're putting it all in an easy to use dashboard for you, where you can customize these dashboards. You can customize the queries that are behind these dashboards to get the exact information that you need for your environment. Look into this. This is one of the nice features that we have within the platform here at Sumo. Not only that, you'll be able to push these out as PDFs to non-Sumo users, So you now have a way of updating your executive staff and other folks, your auditors, about what you're doing and how you're managing your security posture. So again, a fantastic feature that I want people to explore more and see what kind of dashboards we have available for you. I think there's some things going on in the chat, Lisa. Is there anything happening there?
Yes, I've been taking care of it. Don't worry.
Perfect.
We've been getting links to folks on certain things that you've been covering so far.
Beautiful. Okay, let's get into to the meat of this because I believe there's a capability that's super important in today's intelligent security operation, and that is how do we go about detecting stuff? And thinking about the keywords here, AI-driven analytics and behavioral monitoring. There's too many SIMs out there that are just query engines, and they're throwing alerts at you all the time, and we run into that alert fatigue kind of situation. And I want to show you some things about how we handle data, through the platform and through our cloud SIM that does a lot of the first level, analysis and work for you. And then where we're taking, your first level analysts and expanding their capability, right? It's not about just detecting things in the environment, but it's how do I prioritize them in a way that cuts through the noise and gets you to those, incidents, those insights that might truly matter. So let's talk a little bit about this. So as you're bringing data into the Sumo environment, you're collecting that information. That information is ingested. Those messages are being saved to inside of Sumo into the data lake. Some percentage of the data that you're bringing in, not all of your logs, but some percentage of your logs, you might want to send to Sumo Cloud SIM, in which case they're going to be parsed, mapped, normalized, and enriched, and we create a security record that's also saved to the Sumo Logic data lake. Okay, those records are then pushed through. I like to call it the transparent rules engine, but it's really called the insight engine, where we're going to apply more than 1,000 rules against those records to see if we're getting hits. So this is all the TTPs we just talked about in the MITRE ATT&CK. We're going to be looking at what kind of rules get fired when we start collecting those things. And I'm going to try to organize when those rules fired, are they around a particular entity? Whether that's a user or a machine or an IP or what have you, and I'm going to create a signal, and those signals are also stored in the security data lake. We take this one step further because a lot of solutions out there that you're using stop right there. They call them alerts, and you might get 10 million of them. And you're like, well, how does this all kind of sit together? We take it one step further, and I have another slide as illustration of kind of the things that we're doing, but it's about correlating those signals around the risk that they're presenting and a particular entity that is in the center of it. And so we're correlating that information to create an insight. And that insight is also stored for you in the security data lake. So there's multiple levels by which we can come back and do investigative research, whether we're looking at an insights level, signals level, records level, or the message level. So this is all happening for those customers that are using our cloud SIM already, right? And if we think about how do we correlate and pull these things together, we know you're getting a bunch of different alerts from a bunch of different tools out there. And the first step is, hey, is there a commonality here? Is there a human? Is there a machine? Is there an IP that is center to all these different types of alerts that we're getting? And we're also, because we've tagged these alerts with MITRE TTPs, we're also looking at kind of what TTPs are being engaged, when they're being engaged, and it gives us a bit of it gives us the ability to build a timeline, not just the timestamps of when these alerts happen, but what activity is associated with that particular alert and entity. So a lot to unpack on this screen, even though it looks like a pretty simple model. But again, we're doing a lot of things for you from a security prioritization standpoint within our cloud SIEM that gets you to that insight and gets you to the things that matter the most much quicker than a lot of different solutions out there. Okay. And how is this done? It's really deep in the what we call the insight engine. Now, where we have a number of different rule primitives that make up the 1,000 rules that we've already provided for you, but these are completely transparent to you. We can show you, you can create your own rules how you like to fit your particular environment. And not only do you have your correlation rules in here for matching your thresholds, your chaining, and so on, but we've also included in the same transparent engine the logic around your Yuba capabilities, your first scene rules, or your outlier rules, so that you have, again, full transparency to how that logic works. And ultimately, you can make your customize these to fit your own personal environment. This is going to start getting a little bit deeper into uh, doing detection engineering, which I want to save as a different class. So be aware that Lisa and I will put together another class around detection engineering and how you can start building these new rules as you see fit, especially as you see new threats in the threat landscape, new vulnerabilities that are discovered, even things like the recent SharePoint vulnerability that's out right now, and how you can create those rules to look for that type of activity. One of the recent updates that we had for our Yuba rules, however, is very important. We call it historic baselining. When you create a Yuba rule, you're setting that process up. Typically, you would then have to wait for a baseline to be created. That might be 7 days, 14 days, 90 days, whatever, however long a baseline that you'd want to create. You'd have to wait for that baseline to create it to see if the rule was even going to be effective. And it's like, well, that doesn't really help our customers much. So what we decided to do is turn that on its head a bit. Instead of looking forward in creating that baseline, why don't we take the data that we already have in the system and look backward and build a baseline for the number of days that you're looking for from that historic data, so you can see if your rule is going to be effective immediately, within minutes instead of weeks. And we're finding this to be very successful in not only helping customers create new rules, but really fine tuning these rules to meet the needs of their environment. So the last couple of items here, we want to talk about automation, a little bit about detection engineering, detection as code, because we know keeping track of all these rules is something that becomes a job unto itself, but it doesn't have to be. We should be able to create playbooks for your remediation, as well as managing your detections in a very simple way that's easy to scale, that can be automated and allow you to basically keep up with what's happening in the threat landscape in your environment.
Hey, Chris,
Yeah.
quick question for you because I don't know the answer. Where are the Uber rules located?
So again, all the Uber rules are in the same rules engine as all of your other rules. So it's just you can go into the rules section. You can create new Uber rules as needed, but you can also look them up just like you would look up any other rule.
Okay, hopefully that helps, Christy.
We can add the help file to that in a second there.
Yeah, I'm gonna search for it right now if I could find it. Thanks,
Yeah.
Chris. Go ahead.
Okay. So when we talk about automations built into the Sumo Logic platform is our automation service. So we've been porting over important capabilities from our independent SOAR product that Sumo had bought several years ago, and taking those capabilities and adding them to the platform so that you can use them both in the platform and within Cloud SIEM. Now, these automations allow you to build playbooks and really to your heart's content. We have over 300 plus integrations already into the system, but you can build what you need to build, create the automations that you need to create, and have them both do containment as well as human in the loop decisioning. So a great feature to explore there, to take you to that next level of your intelligence security operation, right? And another place to think about this is look for new rules in our content catalog. So we do have a place, on GitHub for everybody to take a look at. We're writing new rules that we're pushing to you on a regular basis, whether these are parsers, mappers, rules, and so on. Feel free to explore our content catalog and see if there's anything that we can continue doing to meet the needs of your environment. But at the same time, of course, we have our own GitHub kind of capability out there. And I know this is probably more for larger organizations or MSSPs, but there is a capability, a proof of concept that we can help you with right now, where you can store in your own GitHub repository your set of rules for Cloud SIEM, and then you'll be able to push those to other Sumo orgs within your control and environment, and you'll be able to use Terraform to kind of go through that process, keep those things up to date. This is a new capability and function that we talked about at RSA just a couple 3 months ago. And if this is something that you're interested in, then we want to talk to further about that to see how we go about helping you deliver on a centralized rule set. Okay, how we doing on time there, Lisa? So I'm getting to the end here again. One of those fundamentals that I believe is important about building an intelligence security operation is that we have to be centered around your analyst. Security tools, shouldn't be slowing you down, whether it's a natural language search capability, which we'll talk about. We'll talk about entity graphs here in a second, but it's about putting the right information in front of your analysts so that they can make the best decisions possible. Yes, we've done a lot of the prioritization for you. We've done a lot to give you the right insights at the right time, with the right capability. But it's still up to your analysts to make the decisions on what they're going to be investigating or not investigating, and the reasons why. And so if you think about some of the new features that we're bringing to the table here. There's another feature that's in beta right now. So if you're not part of our beta program for insight summaries, feel free to help us along here. We introduced this again at RSA a couple months ago, where we're using a generative AI to just give a 500-word summary of the insight that we found. So you'll be able to see that. You'll understand, all the details of what's happening within that insight without having to go step by step by step through all the signals that are associated with that insight. So it's a good quick way to understand what's happening and decide what the priority is in going and correcting that issue. So think about that at a glance. If you're not familiar with our entity relationship graph here, again, this is a visualization and a map of that insight around that entity and everything it's touched. Invaluable to understand what the blast radius is for a particular insight, to say, huh, I have this IP. It's touched a number of things. We have additional context about this IP that we know is known malicious based on our threat indicators. If that's a malicious IP, what else did it touch in my environment? Where else do I need to go look and to understand kind of what's happening? So again, another fantastic feature to give you quick information about what's the next step I want to take here, and how do I get uh, to those things that might really matter. Okay. And lastly is our Copilot search. If you're not familiar with it, it's built into the platform. You'll be able to ask it natural language queries. So as you're going through and doing some of your investigation and research, you can say, "Hey, show me everything that particular IP did in the last 7 days." Great. Now you're getting a little bit of query assistance. We're going to make suggestions for you about what maybe the next thing you might want to ask. Give you a history of the questions that you've asked before, and really enhance your query experience without actually having to fully learn our query language. So again, that first level technician can jump right in and start using some of the capabilities that we have. With that, I want to close down the sort of the 101 portion of our program here.